Good evening, fourth grade nation. Today we're on lesson 18, so make sure you have your sheet and your pencil in front of you, okay, and you write lesson 18. And we're going to be talking about multiplying three factors and finding missing factors. Okay, so here's our objective, all right, is if you have three factors, and what is a factor is the number in a multiplication problem. And we're also going to find numbers of blocks in a three-dimensional figure. And then we're going to find missing factors. So that's what you're going to be working on this evening. So you only have one vocabulary word tonight, and it's expression. And what an expression is a number, letter, or a combination of both. So if you look below, you see the example 3n. Well, that's an expression that can be written as 3 times n, or n times 3, because it's the commutative property. So that's our new concept, that numbers multiplied together are called factors. And the problem below, there's three factors you see. See, it says 9 times 8 times 7. Okay, now I could also write that 7 times 9 times 8. And because it is a cumulative, no matter what order you multiply them in, your answer is always going to be the same. So first, to figure this out, we're going to do 9 times 8, which equals 72. So then we've got to take the 72 and we're going to multiply it times the 7, which equals 504. Now remember, when we're doing this, you're going to show your work by actually working the problem. So you're going to write 72 times 7 and show us the work on your paper. And remember that multiplication is a commutative property, so we may multiply numbers in any order. It doesn't make a difference, it wouldn't be wrong. Okay, so now let's get to this evening's lesson. And we'll find some examples, okay? So the first is you're going to find the product of 6 times 3 times 5. So remember what we just talked about. You can take any of the numbers to begin with, but let's take 6 times 3, okay? And then that will be 18. And then you are going to, and then you are going to multiply the next number, and that will give you your answer. So you can also rearrange your factors to find it more easily. Like I know all of you know 5 times 7. So that would be easier to find 5 times 7, which is 35, and then multiply 12. Okay, though you could do, if you wanted, 12 times 7, and then you would take that answer and multiply it times 5. Okay, so here's another one, is blocks. How many blocks were used to build this shape? So you're going to look at the blocks and you are going to count the rows and then you are going to multiply them. So that will give you the answer for number 3. So you can see that there were 2 rows times 3 times 2, which would equal 12. And here in example 4, you're going to find the missing factor. Okay, so what are you going to do? If W times 3 equals 18, you need to think about those combinations. So what can you do to solve that problem? And that is what you're going to be working on. And then look at B is 3n. So that would mean what? Remember I showed you the 3n before. That's 3 times what equals 24. So your example would be 3 times 7 equals 24. All right, and then if you look at the last example,
3 times 8.
I'm sorry, it's 3 times 8 equals 24. I think I just said 4. Mr. B just corrected me. Okay, so then if you do 6 times 5 equals 3 times y. So you need to figure out what 6 times 5 is, which is 30. So if you have 30 equals 3 times y, 3 times what is going to give you the same answer as 30, which would be 10. So you'd go 3 times 10 would equal 30, and 6 times 5 equals 30. Okay, so here's the same thing they're showing you. Since 3 times 6 equals 18, this was for the previous problem. 3 times 8 equals 24. So that's giving you your letters that you were missing. So we know what the missing factors are, and you can write them. You see here where it says W equals 6. That's showing us when you write your answers, you have found what that letter, that should be a number, what that is worth. So here's your lesson practice for tonight. For problems A through D, you're going to copy each problem, and then you're going to multiply. And remember, you're always showing your work. So you're going to show which numbers you choose to multiply first. So remember, because it's commutative, it doesn't make any difference what order you go in. You're always going to get the same answer. So like on A, you could do 5 times 7 equals, and you're going to put that answer, and then you're going to take that, and then you're going to multiply that times 6. And that will be your answer that will go into your box. And you're going to do that for A, B, and C. Okay, and then there's another word problem. And remember, we've been working on this in class. You can even underline, what are they asking you to solve? Okay, so there are 12 inches in a foot, and there are 3 feet in a yard. So how many inches long is a wall that is 5 yards long? So what are you going to do with that problem? Okay, so remember, you're going to be multiplying. And so you need to figure that one out. And E, remember we are counting the blocks. So you give a multiplication problem that proves the answer. So look, on the top, there are 2 rows, and how many rows across, and how many on the sides. You may use that to show a multiplication problem. Okay, so that is going to be your lesson practice for tonight. Remember that you can use the objectives as part of your takeaways. And if you have any questions on how to do this, write them on the back so when we sit together tomorrow, we can go over them and review them with you. Okay, so have a great evening.